Okay, so I wasn't going to record a video today, but I thought this may help some of you individuals out there that maybe, that like to see setups pertaining to supply and demand, okay, and using a strategy that that I use. So I'm just looking for pullbacks or retracements as zones, but I'm following the overall structure of the market as well. I didn't do any trading on the ES futures because it was just choppy and I just didn't see any clear setups or good setups. So I switched over to the Nasdaq 100 futures and looked for a few entries. So, I didn't do a lot of too much trading, just 3 quick kind of scalps today. So let's talk about those. I'm going to show you right now the setups and how they unfolded. So in these gold boxes that you see here, this is what I was looking at, okay? So let me go ahead and let's move these away right now. Let's move these boxes away one at a time. I'm gonna cover each setup according to. So first and foremost, what I like to always do is kind of just give a technical analysis breakdown using the higher time frame, and all that does is allow us to see what direction the market was moving. Right? We have into this session today, and even to the overnight session, the market was making higher highs and higher lows. The market actually retraced a little deep today around 10:30, 10:45, and then it turned back around and broke structure to the upside. So that's what I was talking about when you look at those, especially the last market structure video that I did. You got to pay close attention to those structure breaks because the market can, it's going to do what it wants to do. It can break structure to the upside, continue doing that when it's trending, and then all of a sudden start breaking structure to the downside, and then we turn to a downtrend or start moving down. Okay, so when I saw this retracement right here, and price breaking below structure here, I wasn't 100% sold that the market was going to start actually moving to the downside. The first break of an area below an area structure, I like to see a lower high form and then a continuation with another low. Okay, this case here, this was just a deep retracement to break structure back to the upside. So when that happened, I was still, when we got the breaker structure above again, I was still looking for long entries. Okay, so when I scale down to my lower time frame, my 12 range chart, this was around shortly after 12 o'clock when this trade unfolded. As you can see here on the lower time frame, we were breaking structure to the upside still, right? Then we broke below this area here, okay, at 367, 368, broke structure to the downside. Then it rebroke structure back to the upside. When I saw that, we are at that point, we're moving in confluence with the higher time frame. So I'm looking for long entries, okay? So the market pulls back. All right, we tap into this demand zone. Why is it demand? Aggressive buying right here. Now it could have retraced lower. It could have retraced back down to this area here. But we are trading based on the rejections that we see, right? So price pulls back, taps into the zone, and then what's the next thing we're looking for? All we're doing as part of the rejection to take the trade is looking for confirmation with the break of a candle in the opposite direction, right? Meaning the last bearish candle to the downside that taps into the zone, and then we get the break above that candle, which is this bearish candle right here with the bullish candle to the upside. I'm long, okay? So once that happened, I was long. I was looking at the overall structure of the market, but paying close attention to price action right here in this area. So I got in here right at the break, pretty much around 66, 67 area, and taking it back up here to 76, 77 area. So picking up 9 or 10 points off that trade there was pretty easy, okay? Following structure overall of the higher time frame and looking at structure on the lower time frame and looking for a long entry on a pullback to a key area demand. That's all she wrote. Okay, so now we'll move over to the next trade. This was again another long entry because we were still bullish at this point. This was let me show you here. Okay, my chart kind of froze up. Okay, so then the market, after it made that run to the upside, started making a re-break to the downside, meaning breaking structure right here to the downside. Okay, I'm still bullish because the higher time frame is still telling me that I need to be looking for longs. Okay, I want to stay in the direction and take trades in the direction of the higher time frame. So what happens here is that we get that run to the downside. Okay, breaking structure here, then price pulls back, break structure to the downside, continuation, then it turns back around and breaks structure back to the upside, taking out what? 352. At that point, okay, I said, okay, if we get a pullback to this key area of demand right here, small area of aggressive buying, then I'll be interested in taking the trade going long, at least back up to the highs here, aiming for price to take out the high up here. So price pulls back to the zone, we get the rejection. What's the rejection? looking for price to take out and break above close this last bearish candle to the downside. It does that. Once it does that, then I take my long entry shot to taking price from here. So the moment it breaks above. So here's the thing right here. Sometimes people or traders will do this, and it may be in your best interest if you're a beginner trader to look for a test sometimes, because like if you got into the trade right here at the break, say for instance at 353, I did. Okay, actually I was in more aggressive because I saw price not closing or the candle closing. I got in when I started breaking above that top end of that wick right there on that red candle. Now again, I'm aggressive on my trades. To be more conservative, you can wait for a full body break, okay, and then wait for a pullback to close in that area of that gap right there. You see that gap where this candle here closed, and then the next candle that broke above that bearish candle to the downside close. There's a gap right there, so you can wait for the pullback to that area there. Now it's not always going to do that. Basically giving you a second test. It's not always going to pull back and fill that gap. It could just take off to the upside. In this case here, if you're a conservative style trader, you can wait for that pullback to fill that gap in, and then take the trade when it back to the upside here to aim for that high right there at 358. And that's what it did. Came back, tapped into the demand zone, okay, and then it runs back up and takes out the 358 area, running that high right there, and then it pushes higher, okay? So that was the second entry. All right, so the next entry, let me show you that. Then the market breaks structure back to the downside, okay? It breaks right here, what? A major area structure below 274 off the higher time frame. Breaks the first test it broke, when it broke through with a low here, I'm not interested in going long because this could be another fake out, right? Just to push back up and take structure out to the upside. It closed with a lower high, okay? Now I'm getting a little bit more interested. Made a lower low. Now I'm interested in doing what? To looking for short opportunities, okay? So let me talk about this trade, all right? So if you look over at the 24 range, on the 24 range chart, you can also see that, and this is another chart that I use, okay? But we were already making and breaking structure on the higher time frame. Even when I scale down to the 24 range, okay, slightly time frame that's lower than the 60, it's breaking structure to the downside too. Look, we got a low here, retracement, breaking structure to the downside, okay? So there was a area of supply right here. Now, the thing about this trade opportunity was the fact is that when price broke lower right here, this was not a high probability setup because there were no gaps back to the zone, okay? So this is a zone right here because of the aggressive selling right here, but there were no gaps back at the zone. So I wanted to get more confirmation. That's why I scaled down to my 12 range to see if we were going to get full on rejection off the 12 range to allow me to get into a better or more precise entry point. So price pulled back, broke structure to the downside, pulls back, supply zone resting right here in this area here. If you can't see it, I'll mark it just real briefly. This area right here. No gaps right there, right? No gaps because they've all been filled, right? But price still taps back into it. I talk about low probability. I talk about high probability in videos. This is a low probability setup, but that does not always mean that price is not going to still reject that area. So it pulls back to that area. At that point, when it pulled back to that area, I scale down to my lower time frame, my 12 range chart. So you can see what's going on here. This is the 12 range. I know you're looking at this and saying, what is this going on here? But either way, just kind of just like not focus on those arrows, okay? Because I'll get to that in a minute. But anyways, price pulls back to that supply zone on the 24 range. At that point, as I mentioned, I'm looking for a way to get into a trade. Now, what I'm noticing, we're already bearish on the lower time frame, so I'm looking for a setup to go what? Short. Price makes a low here on the 12 range, pulls back, lower low, okay? So it right here, it's breaking structure to the downside, okay? That's what these arrows come into play. Push down, low, lower high, lower low, breaking structure to the downside. It pulls up, okay, retraces back, okay, and breaks structure right here above 253.5, okay? I'm not interested in going long, guys. I'm interested for short setups, all right? Then it pushes up, pulls back, swings higher, right? Okay? Then follow the arrows. It breaks. We're tapping into the 24-hour supply zone. Then it turns around and breaks structure. That's what that red arrow is right there at 247. Break structure to the downside. At this point, I'm looking for an opportunity to go short, okay? Price pulls back, pretty much tapping right back into that 24 range supply zone again. And at this point, I'm looking for, again, we got a break of structure to the downside. Break of structure to the downside on a pullback. I'm looking for a short entry on a lower time frame. So it pulls back. in the rejection, I'm looking for it again. I always talk about the break of the candles, the close of the candles in the opposite direction, right? All right, it pulls back. This candle here, I'm not interested. I got to see something break below this last bullish candle to the upside. It breaks right here with this next red candle right here. That's what this green arrow is representing, and that's why it says enter short or entry short right there. Once we get that break below, or close that candle, that last bullish candle to the upside with this bearish candle here, I'm interested in doing what? I'm interested in going short. Now, here's the thing. This was a supply setup back down to a demand setup, okay? All right, why? Because this right here was a breaker structure to the upside, closing above this area of demand, this area of structure right here, and this was demand right here. So this was a supply setup, okay? All right, we were bearish on the higher time frame, bearish on the 24 range. The zone was marked on the 24 range. I look for a breaker structure to go short on the lower time frame to get me into a better, more precise entry point. But just as well, we had a breaker structure here, okay, and look for opportunity to go short. We had a demand zone here. So this was taking an opportunity off a supply setup to a demand setup below. So get into the trade right here, 250, take it on down here to the bottom to fill any voids or gaps back down here to cover in this area of demand right here to 240. So if you got in here at 250 and took it on down here to 240, then you pick yourself up what? 10 additional points. So it adds up. Just pay close attention to setups like that. But the ultimate goal is to follow in the direction of the higher time frame and look for your setups on the lower time frame, moving in the direction of the higher time frame. Same direction, okay? If it's short, the higher time frame is moving lower, then look for setups to go short, okay? Breaker structures to the downside, pull back to key area supply, okay? If we are in moving to the upside, then look for breaker structures to the upside, pull back to key area demand, and then take it going long in the direction of the higher time frame. So I just want to show you a couple of examples of trades that I took today. Those were 3 entries. This morning was a little bit rocky, kind of trying to figure out which way the overall direction of the market was moving. The ES futures, again, it was just choppy. I didn't see anything that really entertained me, so I didn't take any shots off of the E-mini S&P 500, so I focused on the Nasdaq 100. Okay, and sometimes on Fridays we have the markets get a little choppy. So it is what it was. It is what it is. So, anyways, anyone that's interested in joining the Discord community, you can find the link down in the description portion of the video. Come over, invite yourself in, and take a look at some of the channels there. We have the general chat channel where if you're someone that's interested in asking questions in reference to the future markets, okay, we primarily trade the index futures. But again, doesn't really matter. But if you're someone that trades the Nasdaq 100 futures or the ES futures or even the micros, doesn't matter. Come over. You can come over and ask questions. If I don't answer directly, some of the other members in the community may have the answer just as well. Because we all don't have answers to everything. But we also have a channel on the floor titled the trading floor, and that's where traders come together, even myself, to post screenshots and entry points of where we're taking trades from. Either on the Nasdaq or the ES futures. I haven't seen anybody really trading the Dow or the Russell, but maybe you could be that new person that comes into the community and shares your trading activity just as well. But anyways, invite yourself in. Do me a favor, someone that has not subscribed to the channel, please take the time to go ahead and sub by clicking on the subscribe button below. Make sure to turn on all your post notifications by clicking on the bell, all post notifications. That way, that will ensure that you never miss one of the uploads here on the channel. And last but not least, do the biggest favor of all and drop a like on the video. If you found the content valuable, backtest the strategy yourself. See how it works, You may not grasp it the first time around, trust me, but there are individuals that are part of the Discord that have been practicing and tuned in and been part of the channel for a period of time, and now they are successful or finding, great success themselves. I'm not going to, just come over to the Discord. You can ask, yourself, all right? I'm not here to sell anything in means of a course or mentorship. I'm just here to share my means of how I trade on the daily, just to hopefully inspire others that are interested in trading. You don't have to trade like me. You don't have to use a strategy that I use. Just here to share with you what I know and how I do it myself, okay? Outside of that, I appreciate everyone tuning in, and I'll see everyone in the next video. Take care and have a wonderful weekend.